Right now on the National Weather Desk, winter returns. The first plowable snowfall of the season blankets parts of the Northeast.
We saw heavy snowfall, and it was falling pretty light and fluffy.
We're seeing a sizable storm today with varying amounts of snow.
We'll look at the dangers of flying ice and see how Oklahoma is recovering from historic February tornadoes.
It's a miracle, like God was with us.
Plus, we'll help you get ready for the return of daylight saving time next week.
Losing sleep can lead to mood changes, fatigue, concentration issues, and more.
Also, the unusual place folks found these buffalo roaming and some amazing images from this week's incredible Northern Lights show.
From our nation's capital, this is the National Weather Desk.
Good morning and welcome to the National Weather Desk. I'm Angela Brown. Parts of the Northeast went all winter without seeing much snow until right now. It started snowing last night and flakes are still falling this morning. In fact, several more inches will fall today. It's a tough morning commute for New York City all the way up through to New England. We have two reports starting with Legra Zamor in Rhode Island.
I'm here in Smithfield, Rhode Island, where the snow has started to taper off a little bit compared to what we were seeing earlier this morning around 3 and 4 a.m. We've seen about 5 inches here in Smithfield and some places throughout the state of Rhode Island showing between that 2 to 5 inch range, with some of them even showing those 7 inches here this morning. But we are expecting that to be most of the accumulations as far as this morning's snowfall. It's sort of started out as more of a light and fluffy snow this morning, and now it's sort of transferred over into a heavier, wetter snow, and some of these roads looking pretty slushy here throughout the Smithfield area. We've seen plow truck drivers all throughout the morning salting the roads and making sure they're safe for the morning commute. It's been a pretty mild winter for most of Rhode Island, so this is pretty much the biggest snowfall of the season on this last day of February. Reporting for the National Weather Desk, I'm Allegra Zamor.
Across the capital region, we're seeing a sizable storm today with varying amounts of snow. Across the capital region, totals may come in a little bit on the lower end, but higher elevations, Berkshires, Adirondacks, and parts of the Catskills could get upwards of a foot of snow. Right now in Albany, you can see right down to the pavement. So road crews have done a very nice job of getting on top of things. Snow has definitely calmed down in terms of intensity, but some roads, like this driveway right here, there still is a slushy mess, so take it slow out there. In terms of the type of snow that we're seeing, temperatures are below freezing, and that's allowing the snow to be of this light and fluffy consistency, which does make removal a little bit easier.
Now to a mostly preventable problem in winter storms is flying ice. If you leave snow and ice on the top of your car, the results could be deadly. Reporter Chase Howell is in Rochester, New York with the video proof.
Video capturing the terrifying moment a sheet of ice flew up from a vehicle before crashing onto a car windshield passing by, completely shattering it. Tyler Angrano says the same thing happened to him.
We were driving down I-90 and we were trying to pass a tractor-trailer truck. All of a sudden, corner of my eye, I saw a whole bunch of ice flying at us. Tried my best to stomp on the brake, swerve. It just couldn't miss it. Scared the living crap out of all of us in there.
Angrano wasn't alone. Amy Fletcher works at FB Glass in Rochester. She says they received over 100 calls all before noon on Monday from people whose windshields were shattered by flying ice.
Sometimes we can't even take phone calls, like they're just coming in 4 lines at the same time. Sometimes emails. It's been a lot.
Fletcher says a new windshield could cost someone around $225 and go up from there, depending on the features someone has on their windows. The solution to preventing something like this from happening again, Angrano says, is obvious.
It's easy for someone to clean it off. It just really isn't fair to the person behind you.
And now to Green Bay, Wisconsin, where the precipitation was all over the place, from snow to ice to rain. Flooding in some low-lying areas was blamed on poor drainage as inlets were covered with snow. Others dealt with shifting tasks, from clearing standing water on the driveway to removing ice. And cleanup is underway in Oklahoma after tornadoes ripped through, leaving widespread destruction Sunday night. This video right here behind me capturing the damage left behind by strong winds. Also, 12 people suffered weather-related injuries. The National Weather Service says several tornadoes touched down, but officials are continuing to survey tornado tracks. But one woman isn't letting the damage to her horse farm get her down. As a matter of fact, she was grateful all of her animals are okay and that neighbors rushed to help her clean up.
I want to say to Norman, thank you so much. Thank you so much for helping. And it's so cool that all the horses were fine. All my dogs, my cats are all fine.
Meanwhile, in another neighborhood, a mother is so grateful this morning as David Casanova reports even though the tornado took her home, her family is still intact.
It's devastating to me right now to think that everything's gone.
What was once a home to Frances Tabler and her 3 kids is now covered in debris.
The glass just started breaking and it sounded like an explosion. I jump up, then I see all the stuff flying in the air. I feel like it's a blizzard.
The roof came crashing down, trapping Tabler and her kids in a room before they called her grandkids.
We were the first people there, and we get out the car, we smell gas leaking out.
The storm broke the family's gas meter, causing a leak.
It was scary. My heart was racing. Couldn't really think.
Kaden Wright's family called 911, and police were able to get Tabler and her kids out safely.
So we didn't have any shoes, and we walked through all that glass and all that stuff without a cut on our foot. It's a miracle. Like God was with us.
A ceiling rafter fell and hit Tabler's forehead, though, causing a cut. But what matters most to her is her kids are okay.
To lose one of my kids, I would have just let the walls fall, with us. I could not imagine if something would happen to one of my children.
The National Weather Service is also investigating several possible tornadoes in Ohio. Reporter Mike McCarthy is near Columbus to show us the damage.
We are here this morning near Orient. It is in Pickaway County, just about 20 miles southwest of Columbus, and you can see just some of the damage right here. This tree broken apart by that powerful storm that came through this area. But debris like this really is not the big concern this morning. Let's show you what is. We are here at this mobile home park where at least 2 mobile homes have rolled over. This is one of them right here. You can clearly see the foundation where this mobile home once was placed here on these cinder blocks, but the winds were so strong when they came through here, it pushed that home not only onto its side, but onto its roof. This, again, is at least one of 2 homes here that look like this. A third mobile home, it looks like, was pushed off of its foundation. Other homes here in this area were damaged as well. Multiple trees are down. The big question for the families here this morning is, was this a tornado? At this point, we do not know. The National Weather Service is coming out here. This is one of the spots those survey teams are going to be going to today, working to look at the damage, assess what happened, and then make the determination if this was a tornado.
A new report shows cities in the mid-Atlantic and northern U.S. could get more hurricane damage in the future. Researchers found that as the planet warms, storms will be stronger and faster and push farther north. Charleston, South Carolina, and Savannah, Georgia could become southern hurricane hotspots. As for the north, New York City could see the biggest uptick in average annual property damage. And now, here's something that you don't see every day right here. Bison running along the road. You may think this is from Yellowstone National Park. It's not. It's from far northern Maine. They were spotted here yesterday morning. It's not clear if they are connected to a larger herd that simply broke free from a farm last month. And this weekend, we saw some pretty wild weather across the country. Viewers shared many of their videos through our Chime In platform. Now imagine this. Imagine driving down the road and this rolling in front of you is a stock tank used to feed livestock blowing across the road. It landed in a horse pen. And then there's this scene. Visibility right here is reduced to just a few feet. The driver can only see a few white lines on the road and a sky filler with red dust. Look at that. The Maine ice disk is back. It formed in last few days along a river in Westbrook, one town from Portland. A disk first formed in 2019 and got international attention. Westbrook city officials say it forms from the churning water current created by a waterfall north of the disk. And coming up on the National Weather Desk, with tornadoes making headlines, we're going to take a look at how they are formed, plus a look at some of the benefits from cold temperatures. We'll be back.
I'm meteorologist Charlie Lopresti with Look at the Northeast. We are starting with snowfall from many areas of the Northeast today. Some areas in southern New England may change over to a period of rain. The back edge of that snow and rain moves out during the nighttime hours tonight, and Wednesday is going to be a brighter day. So let's talk snowfall amounts here. The areas in the darker shades of blue, you stand the greatest chance for getting 4 to 8 inches of snow. That includes parts of New York, parts of southern New England here, and up into ski country, there'll be spots that get a half foot or more.
I'm meteorologist Jonathan Myers, and here's a look at the mid-Atlantic region. Starting off mild from Virginia southbound, temperatures 40s and 30s north from Maryland into New Jersey and much of Pennsylvania. And then it looks like as we head into the afternoon, temperatures could touch near 60 in Baltimore. You work your way north, it looks like on 95, 30s, 40s, Philly and New York, but could be in the 70s across portions of Virginia in the wake of our latest weather maker. Morning clouds going to afternoon sun. That's the scene here.
I'm meteorologist Vetus Reed. Here's a look at your forecast for today. The highs in Nashville about 74 degrees, Raleigh 77. You get down towards Atlanta about 78 degrees, 81 Mobile, 86 Jacksonville. Looking at hot temperatures down towards West Palm and Miami. Those temperatures are close to 90 degrees. Be a hot one there. A little bit of sunshine as we expected to see throughout the afternoon, through much of the day. We have our next weather system building up as we get through the overnight coming up out of the Texas coast. It looks like we could get some rain moving into the middle of the week.
Weather Window, presented by the National Weather Desk.
Look at that.
Funnel clouds over the Cincinnati, Ohio area Monday as severe weather moved through. There were reports of damage on the ground in other parts of the state as well. The National Weather Service will conduct storm surveys on Tuesday to determine if they were tornadoes. Meanwhile, a snowy Monday in Sedona, Arizona. The afternoon snow, a forerunner to more snowfall expected on Tuesday and Wednesday.
For more content like this, like the National Weather Desk on Facebook.
And with all the tornadoes that we talked about earlier, we thought it may be a good idea to take a look at how tornadoes can actually form. To do that, we turn to meteorologist John Gum.
So just how does a tornado form? Well, a lot of it has to do with winds, and winds at different levels and how they interact. First, we have the surface winds. These may come in from one direction or another, but the important thing here is the difference in wind speed and direction between these surface winds and the jet stream winds aloft. They're usually faster, and sometimes they're coming in from a different direction. And when you get this combination, we get something we call wind shear. And wind shear is what begins to get the winds spinning. So we get this column of air that is rotating. First of all, it's a horizontal column. It needs something to flip it vertically, and that something is instability and thunderstorm updrafts. Those winds, the warm, moist wind that goes into a thunderstorm, that the thunderstorm sucks that wind up just like a vacuum cleaner. Well, as that wind going up interacts with this rotating column of air, we flip it into the vertical, and we sometimes get what we call a wall cloud. You might notice this with a supercell thunderstorm. It's that low appendage that hangs down. Sometimes that cloud will actually rotate itself as that circulation spins around. And as that circulation spins down to the ground, we can get a tornado. Now, if it doesn't go all the way to the ground, it's a funnel cloud, but when it reaches the ground, that's when we have a tornado.
Northern California has battled multiple winter storms this year. This morning, we're looking at how crews are keeping all those highways clear and the connection between power outages and wildfires. We have 2 reports starting with Preston Danyan in Redding.
As winter weather continues to bear down on the North State, major roadways have been heavily impacted and even closed entirely. I spoke with Caltrans to better understand what drives their decision process.
I like to think of the interstate like a garden hose. It's a garden hose that's running, filled with water, 24/7, not stopping. Us screening is like putting a kink in that hose. It lessens the volumes in areas where we can keep people safely and not have that mass influx of traffic going up into higher elevations where there's less services.
Now, we've seen fewer power outages this year than we saw in the 2019 Snowmageddon, and RAU says tree trimming year-round definitely plays a part in this. Now, we might not be expecting wildfires with the rain and snow, but Avery says their wildfire mitigation strategy also helps prevent power outages when wind and weather could damage trees.
The impact that we're doing to prevent wildfire also benefits us during the extremes when we have winter storms with snow as well. It doesn't mean that trees can't get overloaded and fall over and hit a line, but they're not as close to the lines during those winter storms.
And as you can see, it's still winter and making a strong showing in many parts of the country. You may want to grab a blanket, a hot drink, and get cozy next to the fire while waiting for warmer days ahead. But did you know cold weather, of course, has its benefits? Seattle meteorologist Kristen Clark has a list.
Outdoor recreation enthusiasts know the adage, there's no such thing as bad weather, just bad clothing. And I learned this firsthand during my fat biking days in Minnesota, embracing sub-zero conditions and frozen nostril hairs while staying toasty warm pedaling on snow-packed trails. Now, before you go thinking I'm crazy, hear me out. Cold air does have some benefits. Cold weather can be better for the brain. As studies have shown, humans work more efficiently in an environment free of temperature extremes. It also reduces inflammation and pain. Blood vessels constrict in cold conditions and, as a result, are less susceptible to swelling and redness. Allergies disappear as plants don't produce pollen during the winter months. Cold weather can strengthen the heart. As cold weather takes away your body's heat, your heart has to work harder to keep you warm. Cold conditions increase the heart rate and, in turn, strengthen the heart muscles. The simple involuntary shivering increases the body's metabolism and maintains a high body temperature. Exercising in the cold can increase metabolism by 16 times, burning more calories and fat in the process.
Well, soon we may all be seeing things warm up. That's because spring is approaching, and that means daylight saving is around the corner, about 2 weeks away. And the time of year when, of course, we all spring forward and lose that hour of sleep. But there is some good news here. You can do something now to help prepare yourself for this time change. Kelly Koopmans explains it.
Daylight saving time begins on March 12th. That means you lose that extra hour of sleep that your body needs to keep your brain functioning at its best.
When you go to bed at night, your brain actually shrinks down and it squeezes out waste, trash, toxins, keeping your brain clean.
That is sleep expert Dr. Mark Milstein. He says that sleep doesn't just make you feel better. It's like a rinse cycle for your brain.
Just like a house or an apartment that fills up with too much waste or garbage or trash, it's hard to focus, it's hard to find things. Same thing with the brain.
Losing sleep can lead to mood changes, fatigue, concentration issues, and more. So how can you make the transition easier? Prioritize morning light by getting outside for 10 minutes. It's not just refreshing, there's a chemical reaction going on.
The brain clock notices that light. It helps shut off melatonin, which helps your brain wake up. And so also getting outside really helps with fresh air, a little bit of stress relief. So it's kind of a bundle.
Dr. Milstein says start good practices now. Don't rely on sleep medications to be your first line of defense. Take a warm shower 90 minutes before bed and stop consuming fluids 2 hours before bed. Lastly, keep daytime naps under 30 minutes.
This month, we are highlighting African Americans who have contributed to the study of earth science. And today, we take a look at Archie Williams. Meteorologist Emily Gracie has more.
Archie Williams was born in 1915 and grew up in Oakland, California. He went to UC Berkeley to major in engineering and was quickly recruited onto the track team. He became a very successful athlete, qualifying for the 1936 Olympics and then going on to win the gold medal in Berlin for the 400-meter race. Upon graduating from college, Archie was unable to find a position as an engineer because of the color of his skin. So he took a job at an airport in exchange for flying lessons, and then went on to become a flight instructor for the famous Tuskegee Airmen. During the war, he was enrolled in UCLA's meteorology program and from there returned to Tuskegee as a lieutenant and weather officer. He continued his career as a meteorologist and pilot, flying missions around the world before retiring with the rank of lieutenant colonel in 1965. Archie Williams passed away in 1993 at the age of 78.
And check this out. Sky watchers got a show Sunday night as the northern lights lit up with shimmering colors. The reason the lights were so visible was a strong geomagnetic storm. The National Weather Service even issued an alert on Sunday as particles were ejected from the sun. The lights could be seen in large swaths of the northern U.S. If you want to see more of these amazing shots, head over to Instagram and search the National Weather Desk.
Hi, I'm meteorologist Phil Kelly. A quieter day for most of us today after an active day into the Ohio Valley, much of the Midwest with storms. We're a little cooler today, but noticeably drier as well. Do have some snow showers likely up into the upper Midwest and into the Dakotas. That moves across Minnesota and Wisconsin as we get into your Wednesday. Look how warm we're going to be, though. 68 tomorrow in St. Louis, 75 in Cincinnati.
Good Tuesday morning to you. I'm meteorologist Chris Suchet. Look at our forecast today across the region and starting off with some mild temperatures. Cool spot is up in Amarillo in the low 40s. Otherwise, we'll see 60s, 70s and 80s for high temperatures across the region. Now, Wednesday morning, may see a few thunderstorms develop in the central part of Texas from Austin up to about Dallas. Otherwise, through the afternoon, a few thunderstorms up into Arkansas, southeast Oklahoma, and it stays warm across the region.
Well, hi there. Good Tuesday morning to you, everybody. I'm meteorologist Shannon O'Donnell. Still a pocket of cold and stormy air here sitting over the Intermountain West with Jackson Hole maxing out only at 20 today, but starting to warm up. Spring training underway around the desert Southwest. 65 out of Phoenix and Chandler, Arizona. 40s there in Portland and Seattle with a chance for morning snow, but afternoon rain showers as it melts off later today along the I-5 corridor in the Pacific Northwest. And that's the scene from here.
You are watching the National Weather Desk.
One of the most common things you will hear from your local meteorologist say is partly cloudy. You might also hear it's going to be partly sunny. So is there a difference between partly sunny skies and partly cloudy skies? Let's head to Seattle meteorologist Theron Zahn to find out.
Is there a difference between partly cloudy and partly sunny? Well, technically, no. According to the National Weather Service, a partly cloudy or partly sunny sky means that 3/8 to 5/8 of the sky is covered in clouds. Of course, there's one time when you can't have partly sunny skies, and that's at night.
And we'd love to share your weather content on the air. You can find us on all of your favorite social media platforms: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Just search the National Weather Desk. And as we go to break, let's take you to the skies over Utah. And thank you so much for joining us. Tomorrow on the National Weather Desk, we'll talk with an expert about how some are looking to weather as a weapon. I'm Angela Brown. Make it a great Tuesday, and we'll see you right back here